Richard, River Case, Terry, wow, Alan. Good afternoon. It's a different time, a special time for me to do this tour. Uh, I'm in the village, the village I have lived in for a couple of months since last year. And we have seen some people, met some people at homes in people's, you know, different families. And it's getting late. Now I am with my wife and my daughter to just to take you to walk around in this village. And there's also a neighbor of us. Maybe he's going to share something about this village. And I believe on the way, we can meet a lot of local villagers in their homes. And we can just strike into people and start a conversation for what they have been doing today and recently, talk about their life. So that means that we're going to probably see different families today, and we're going to see their homes. It's not just fixed at one home. We're going to do different homes today. And by the way, this is a walk around in the village. This is just like a walk after a meal. Yeah, this is what people usually like to do, right? So you walk around to help you digest in your neighborhood. This is what I'm taking you to do. Hello, Barry, Chris, MW. This is the Little Rock Village. The name of the village is Wan R. Wan R means means nothing. It's just a name. But if you try to separate the two characters, Wan and R, they mean respectively 10,000 for one, and R is two. Look, this is a village with its name related to two different numbers, 10,000 and two. Usually in China, there is a word or phrase in Chinese language that is a 万一. 万一 means in case, like one out of 10,000 chance, in case. 没关系的呀，一会儿我们会聊到的，没事的呀。现在是慢慢的走，慢慢的走。来，我们走吧，来来。不用很刻意介绍的嘛，来来，我们就一起走就行了嘛，没关系的呀。因为一会儿的话，我们一边走一边聊，会自然而然那个的，自然而然的，没关系的。对。This village now has about 60 people, 70 people living regularly. And this is the home of this man. He is one of our neighbors. He lives here alone. We usually call him You Li. This is his name. This is by what we call him. 有力晚饭吃了吗？吃过了。I just greeted him actually by asking, "Have you had dinner?" Actually, you know what? In Chinese culture, this is one common form of greeting. That is to ask people, "Have you eaten?" Do you have something similar in your culture? To greet people by asking, "Have you eaten? Have you had your meal?" Yeah, this is common, and this is also what I always heard when I was a child back in Shanghai. I grew up in the alleyway area of Shanghai, a neighborhood with a lot of alleyways. So people in the alleyway neighborhood always run into each other, and you always see people around. This is his home, and maybe he's the one who is going to go with us in this village and share some of his stories and experience. 你这幢房子什么时候建的？
80年代。
80年代。He says the building was built in 1980s. He has three brothers, and he is the oldest. They don't have any sisters. Four brothers. If not mealtime, just offer beverage like tea, coffee, juice, water, etc., and maybe a light snack to go with it. Joanne? Yeah, but do you actually, in your culture, do people sometimes, when they meet each other, run into each other, when you sometimes just to say, have you eaten, have you know, do you greet people by mentioning food or drink? Yeah, I'm just curious about that. All right. He has three brothers. All right, let's turn around and go further along this path in this village. Well, what is interesting here, as a matter of fact, for him and his brothers, is that none of the four men in this family are married. Not anyone is married. Their parents both passed away years ago. And he is the one, as the eldest son, he is the one who lives in this home in the village. Other three brothers of his are in cities, different cities, working as migrant workers. I think actually at least the two of his brothers work in Hangzhou. They work and live in Hangzhou, the major metropolitan city of the area, to which you can drive in 2.5 hours to 3 hours. Four bachelors. That's right, Richard. Four bachelors. And among the four bachelors, three of them are never married. And one, the youngest brother, was married once, but got divorced. And he now is not married. Four brothers, four bachelors. That's right. He is one of the neighbors of us who we meet quite often. We see and meet quite often. And he is quite talkative. But I'm not sure if he is ready for a talk a lot today. And as I could tell that he isn't quite used to camera, but that's okay. And that's why I actually decided to just walk around. And on the way, I will, ask some questions with him and let him to give us his experience and stories about this village. And also on the way, you can ask questions. Your questions are always very interesting, always very helpful for me to make the experience for both you and me a fun one, an educational one. All right, now this is the path that I need to take when I walk to the Wang'er village that is located up there. You just need to keep walking. This is also the Little Rock Village in one of my tours. Oh, what did he do for a living? He's three brothers in other cities. They have jobs. They are migrant workers. And I believe two of them are construction workers. They are involved in construction in one way or another. Well, the other one, I think probably also in Hangzhou. The other one is a security guard. He is like a janitor hired by an enterprise. He sits in the front office of the enterprise property to just keep a look on the property, a guard. Pigsties. Let's try to ideate. Years ago, like 20 years ago, let alone 30 years ago, how people used to live here. A lot of people, a lot more people here with also a lot of their livestock, including pigs, chickens, ducks. But today, it's unrecognizable for people then to think about the future, right? As I said, this is the progress that has been made since the reform and opening up policy. Before that, China was a closed, planned economy market. And now it looks more like a free market, yes. And the people have got jobs, businesses to be engaged in, to make life more fun, to make life more meaningful, to also make life just better, more convenient. It is the tea picking season. My wife told me that maybe some people are still working on their tea plantations in the mountain around here. Maybe some people have already come home. It is close to 6 o'clock. And let's check it out on this tour. All right? A lot of the houses here are uninhabited. People no longer live in many of the houses here because this place is out of the way from any town or city. It's not convenient. It's not fun. And there are not enough jobs in this area to support people for them to live. 这一家人来，刚才我看到他那个老太在里面，他们今天采茶了吗？
那肯定采茶了呀。
采回来了？回来了吗？还没回来。
你要干嘛？
我了解一下，只是了解一下。
肯定回来，不回来就够不该回来了。回来了。
回来了是吧？I was talking to my wife and Yoli, and to learn that if this family has finished their day with the tea picking, and they told me yes, the dog barking is the sign that they have already come home. The lady is at home, and there's also a man in that family. You know what? The name of this tour has a Chinese term that is 老百姓. And 老百姓 in English literally means old 100 names. Or more exactly, old 100 last names. This is what Xing means. Lao is old, Bai is 100. So in China, this term Lao Bai Xing is used to refer to ordinary people, ordinary families in all different names. Yeah. And you can say that traditionally there are 100 or something like 100 major last names in China. That's why Lao Bai Xing, old 100 names. 他们采茶回来了，今天采的怎么样嘛？
她也不知道采了几斤，她说她老公去称的。
哦，她老公还没回来。
回来了。
哦，但是还不知道采了几斤。今天茶叶采的还好，长得怎么样嘛？
什么长的？
今年茶叶长得不好啊。
今年茶叶不好啊？
哦，产量肯定就从去年是70%的产量。
哦，是吧？哦。
今年肯定搞减产。
Yeah, I was trying to ask how much tea leaves they got today, and the lady said her husband is the one who went to the fields to pick the tea leaves, and her husband is now at home, but they haven't weighed their tea leaves yet. And Yoli told us that the production of tea leaves this year is less in amount because of the undesirable weather conditions. And it's about 70% of the expected amount of the tea. Or you can compare maybe with last year, only 70%. Therefore, the price of the tea is higher. And as my wife said, this year sees the highest price for them to acquire tea leaves from local villagers. Is the highest. There's another lady over there doing something. Let's have a look. Todo.
他今天采茶回来，你看他把这里地再来，把草除一除，他种了玉米还没长出来。
哦，除一下草。The lady is weeding. She came from tea picking. And my wife Lan Lan asked the lady, how much tea did you get today? She said, no tea, which actually means not much. This year, I have heard a lot of people say no tea, meaning less tea. Not much. 他住哪一间呢？
他不住这里，他住在上面。你这些才能破是不？哦，在上面，他住在上面。
哦，他住在上面。The lady lives up there.
好些菜咖比是不？
他现在家里面几户人呢？就住在这里的。
他家里啊？家里就是你一个人哈。哦，周血贵来家里个。哦，他儿子回家来了。
也是洗。All right, Lan Lan asked the lady, and actually, it was my question. I wanted my wife to ask on behalf of me. That is, how many people are there now in her family? And she said her elder son is at home now for a visit, probably. 他大儿子平时住在这里吗？
我现在称地是不？
哦，就在家里的。All right. I tried to clarify with the lady. And actually, her son is not here now for a visit. He actually lives here in this village with the lady.
因为他70几岁，精神很好，一天忙下来了，
She's
他
in 70s.
还有力气的。
她在种什么？
他除草了，
除草啊。
哦，准备种什么呢？
种什么？
准备要种什么呢？
里面种下去了玉米。
哦 She's going to, she's weeding now, and she's going to plant corn here. OK, 那我们继续再往前走一走。晚饭吃了吗？
没有，
还没有啊。
没有。
Oh,
辛苦
she
哦。
hasn't had dinner yet. I asked her, 晚饭吃了吗？
还早嘞，他说。
By the way, as I told you, this can be a greeting in China. 晚饭吃了吗？ When you see someone around dinner time. 早饭吃了吗？ When you see someone around breakfast time. 中饭吃了吗？午饭吃了吗？ Or either way, when you see someone around lunchtime. How many languages your daughter speaks? Oh, Andrea, my daughter speaks only Chinese. She is in grade 1, but she can be in also kindergarten. You know, she is in age between kindergarten and grade 1 in elementary school. But thing is different from my son. My daughter is not very active in learning. Well, my son is the opposite. My son is someone who, if you advise him, if you just ask him, he would just go to study. But my daughter is not that. At this moment, so far, she is not proactive. Does she also know the dialect? I think she understands Shanghai dialect. Here, the local dialect, just enough. Just enough. She's not able to speak any dialect. This is what the children today are common in. That is, they don't speak the dialect. You know what? Even a lot of Shanghai boys and girls born into and who have also grown in traditional Shanghai families with other Shanghai family members at home speaking dialect on a daily basis. Those kids, as I know, they are reluctant to speak Shanghai dialect because they are more influenced by school. Mandarin is what they speak at school. Therefore, when they are at home, although they can understand, because of course they are in that environment, but they don't speak it. And they're reluctant to speak it. That's the reality. Yes, and same problem, right, Richard, in Singapore. So you can see that some of the things as traditions seem to be dying as inevitable. .这里以前跟现在有什么不一样吗？这一块？
这个原来这一块都是土地啊。
都是土地啊。现
现
在就是你指的土地是以前种东西的。
以前就是种庄稼的。
种庄稼的是吧？哦，现在不种了。
现在现在不种了。
啊。
原来这全部这都是土地啊。
都是土地，都有人种利用，因为当时住的人多呀。对吧？
对啊。
也跟这个有关系。
那个也做房子了。现在你看就是。
Yoli told me that this small area right here used to be utilized, but now it's just abandoned as as a mess, a natural mess. And I told Yuli maybe it is because years ago there were a lot of people living here. Therefore, people wanted to make use of every plot of land to grow something, to put something, to have something fun in. 啊？
可以欣赏一下。
什么？
今天你女儿上山采茶，卖掉10块钱，然后她把10块钱全换成了这个。
好的呀，他就这样做的呗。
来，这是棉花糖，给大家欣赏一下。
And yet, this is my daughter, and my wife is telling you that this afternoon my wife took my 2 children to the tea fields to pick some tea leaves again.
然后10块钱换成了。
And it turned out that my daughter made 10 yuan out of the tea leaves she made. And this is what she has turned the 10 yuan into. Some snacks. You know what? I have always tried to convince my daughter about the bad effects of having too many snacks. But you know what? Something is not just going to change in a short period of the time. She has her predilection. And I have tried many times. I don't think I can move it right now in a short period of time in the near future. No, I've tried. Okay, I'm getting closer to the main village up there. And in between, there's a playground, as it is called by the local people. This so-called playground used to be a basketball court with basketball racks. And now you can't find them. Not very practical. Obviously, here in this village, people don't want to play basketball. There's a building over there, and that building used to be a school, and now it's an infirmary. Behind that building, you can find a lot of houses. Yeah, this is where the tour of Wanar village starts. Throughout the day, now in spring, you can find some visitors and tourists here to visit. Yes, there are some visitors. This is not a tourist village and doesn't have any reputation. But there are visitors who just manage to come here to visit. Let me show you around the village. Oh no, show you around the playground here in this village. This is a publication. The pictures show some interesting moments of the local villagers here. They're at a meeting. A lot of group activities. Meetings here. People take an oath to swear allegiance to the party. This is the party flag. It's not the national flag. It's the party flag, right? This is another activity a group of men held under a monument built to honor martyrs who sacrificed during the Civil War, the war between the Communist Party and the KMT Party. People are at the meeting. They are taking notes. This is a ceremony held for people to donate. Another meeting, a lot of meetings. Another oath-taking ceremony. This is a public spirit activity to do something good for the local old folks. Those are the cadres of the party in this village. Look. We will go to northern Germany to see my husband's family. Yes, they also speak a strong dialect. All right, my wife Lan Lan, she wants to show you something special here. That is the tea. And there is a plant owner, this man. He owns a tea production plant in this village. And his plant is the largest in this sub-village. Today, he came here to acquire the tea leaves from the villagers who mostly live up there. All right, and I'm going to be there, show you more. This is how much tea he has acquired today out of those villagers for the day. See? 200多斤啊? There are some 100 kilograms of tea here. He's now taking all the tea to his plant, a small plant, for processing. Some 200 kilograms of tea a day. By the way, maybe you are curious at the conversion rate for the fresh tea leaves into the processed dry tea leaves. Let me tell you that the average conversion rate is about 4 to 1. So you can make 1, for example, kilogram of dry tea leaves, good for drinking, with 4 fresh tea leaves. 4 times as much. That is 4 kilograms. All right? It's not that you pick just fresh tea leaves and you can just make the same amount for the dry tea leaves. It's 4 to 1. That's a lot of tea. Yeah, for this village, this is the best the villagers here in this village can do a day in this season with the regular residents now in this village. Some folks are having a break over there. You can see they are just sitting over there in conversation with each other. You may like a photo for this angle. 朵朵，请你不要往前好好走路。不要太随意太大意啊！这里的话，你看是没有保护的。
没有掉下去。
那个呢？上次那只狗
那是吊在那里。
No protection
拉
here.
上来了呀。
两只都拉上来了。
It looks dangerous for children, for anybody, actually, especially for those who come here to visit, in groups sometimes. And last year, I heard that there was a group of students who came here to visit under their school, led by some teachers. And one student actually fell off the edge and hurt himself so badly. An ambulance was called in. They don't do any protection here. They just take it as usual, as common as it has always been. There are 2 paths you can take from here. This is one. Let me show you. There is a long staircase leading to the left flank of the village. And here is the other one. This is an ordinary village in southeastern China, Anhui province. This is the village where my wife, Lan Lan, grew up. Of course, in the first place, was born into. And my wife was born by her mother without any help. I mean, when my wife was born, her mother was her own midwife. Of course, before that, she learned to be a midwife. She did that for many villagers. This is actually my first time to do this villager tour at dusk. This is an old house with a lot of writing on it. The red characters, hard for you to read, were left during Mao's era. And there's a more recent writing here in black, only 5 characters. It means long live the Communist Party of China. The rocks are the local materials in those mountains around here. The path here, the steps here, are flagons, blue stone, pavement, paths. Have you learned how to say hello to those folks here? That is to ask them, have you eaten? All right, you can learn that with me again. I'm going to say it. 晚饭吃过了吗？晚饭吃过了哈，都吃过了。哦，晚饭吃过了吗？ This is what I asked, and they nodded. They have had their dinner. You know what? Actually, here in rural China, at least in this area, people they have meals early. Lunch and dinner, they have them early. Were people already starting to leave the village when your wife was a little kid? Let me think. Yes, I think so. Let's say my wife was born in 1986. And when she was little, let's say early 1990s, yes, some people started to leave the village for different towns, for jobs. And also, as I said on other tours about this village, a lot of the houses you see now, not the one on the left, but that one, something like this. This kind of buildings were usually built after 1980s, mostly in 1990s and after 2000s. People managed to build those bigger buildings after they have made some money. And most of them built those in 1990s and after 2000s, or sometimes even more recent. This is another very dangerous spot. Let's have a look. I'm standing on the edge of this. This is no kidding. I don't want to think it too much. When I do, I'm afraid. 哇，这里打了一个洞啊！
这是以前他们放那个竹竿的，好像是红钢那个，拿来晒衣服用的。
哦，
就是一根竹子放下去，在上面再架一根竹子，然后那边还有一个洞，看到吗？
哦。
然后架根竹子晒被子、晒衣服用的。
I found this hole, and I wonder why. They pointed at another hole over there. See? There's another hole here. And they told me that these two holes were made to fix the bamboo poles that they made for their laundry. To air their laundry. This is how they did it. And now it's useless. It's gone. Probably because then a lot of people lived here. And the families right here, they needed that to air dry their laundries, to make better use of the sunshine. River said, my knees will go weak just by looking down. You definitely need to be careful here. 诶，朵朵在干嘛？
他在跳。
那个地方危险吗？
他有分寸的。朵朵，你怎么？你卡上里是吧？
That lady talking to my wife over there, she went to Hangzhou earlier this spring to pick tea leaves for a company in Hangzhou. And she was there in Hangzhou for maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And she came back like 10 days ago to pick the tea leaves in her own field in this village. Now. And her husband passed away last year.要不要再走一走啊？要不要再走一走？哪里可以再走走，往前看看？
都可以走，从这走吧，那边没人。
哦，那从这走。
那边也可以
啊？
我这随便哪条路都好走。
哦，好的。
你往前走，往前走吧。你从那边走，从那边下，从那边下去。对对。
好了，我们继续往前走走吧。朵朵要小心点，要注意安全第一啊。这栋房子没人住了。This house is almost abandoned. Nobody lives here. This is a big wooden barrel. As I know, this kind of a barrel is used by the local villagers for them, usually around the Chinese New Year, to kill their pigs and to put the dead pigs in for boiling so that they can get rid of the hair more easily. Yes, Barry, my daughter is with my wife. They are ahead of me. 王兰兰，王兰兰，慢一点，慢一点。
弄脚印，弄个采访印，跟了弄屁股后头，那啥没问题。
诶， 我有问他的呀，你不用为这事情焦躁的呀，因为我有问他的呀。他就是说，就是他能分享吗？他也可以主动分享呀。这东西我又不会拦着他的，对不对？没关系的，你要不让有利在现在过来跟我们再讲讲，他讲什么我都会给他翻译啊，没事啊。This is a good angle. I like that building standing over there alone. It gives this picture a good perspective. Is path lit up at night? Yes, I think so. You can see lights over there. Yeah? There are lights. The villagers here started to get tap water in later 1990s. Before that, they all had to take water from the rivers, from a well, etc. Be revolutionary forever. It's getting dark. 黄兰兰，我们要不要再走访一些村民啊？The villagers here in this village are all surnamed Wang, as my wife is. Wang is their last name. 地道战。This is a shelter that was dug for the period when Soviet Union in late 1960s threatened to nuke China. That was a big thing. And all the state leaders of China then were dispatched to different locations in China, but nobody knew who they were. And across China, a lot of shelters, a lot of plants for making weapons and weapon parts were established, with a lot of people sent to those to those plants from all over China to be prepared for that nuclear attack by Soviet Union. This is something a lot of people in China are not aware of. And have you heard of that? And this is also when China started to embrace the relationship with the United States. Before that, China was in close relationship with the Soviet Union against America and its allies. But dramatically and ironically, in 1970s early, China changed its attitude. And also that's when Nixon paid a visit to China, which is a new chapter to the history of China and also even to the world to some degree. All right? Never heard of that either? Barry. That's why Nixon came here to visit in 1970s. All right? Something happened. Before that, China was always against the USA, together with the Soviet Union. They were number one, the big brother. And we were number two. The reason that happens is something else. And I think I mentioned that. I touched upon that on my tour called Chinese Propaganda Post-Art. And at that time, believe it or not, the Russians were really serious. Their leadership was really serious. And they kind of just informed the United States of their actions. But of course, that was stopped by the USA. A bad example that cannot be tolerated by the world if it did happen. And you can find it out, all right? Never heard that either. Okay, check it out. Oh. 他们晚饭吃过了吗？
他厉害了，今天采了8斤茶叶，他一个人哦。
哦，茶叶呢？
他在家嘛，烧点饭菜给他吃。
哦，在吃晚饭。可以拍一下吗？
可以的。
可以拍一下吗？啊，在看电视。
这个可以盘的。
我们只是聊天，没事的。They are having dinner. This is their dinner table. Tofu, sliced spring bamboo shoot, and the meat looks like duck. 这个鸭肉是你们自己做的吗？还是店里买的？ Yeah, it looks like something from a delicatessen. And I just asked the man if they made this duck meat dish by themselves or they bought it from a delicatessen. And he told me that it's from a delicatessen. It looks like a Chinese chick flick. Wow, that lady is wailing with bruises around her eyes. And this is a Chinese period drama. You can tell by the attire of this man that the story happened in feudal China, Qing Dynasty. Oh, 但是他还有很多都没采，那不是有点可惜吗？
可能就没下肥料了呗。
哦，那也就荒了，是吧？
荒了呗。
哦。
烘它了，那你肥它个地吧烘它的。
The lady today was very efficient. She picked tea leaves, 4 kilograms, 8 jing, which is Chinese unit, very close to the British pounds. Or the pounds, not British pounds, just the pounds. And it's equal to 4 kilograms. Wow, what a chick flick. The man is as moved as the lady. Typical stories that took place in the palace of feudal China. This is a common one. Yeah. Okay.他们家有几只狗？2条狗。There are 2 dogs. 1, 2. There are some bamboo shoots on the ground over there. This is a seasonal delicacy. The bamboo shoot. People cook the sliced bamboo shoots with with cured meat, cured pork in a soup.
还有哎，要吧？
谁让你拼命吃糖呢？
好，
你那我们全都不喝。
我们再要不外面看看，哟，这狗，我是不是踩到它？
所以每天开假期大家一个干狗，所以讲本来假期开过，一开过一把那一个窗的表啊，你晓得吧？这一路一听假期过去管你来喂。
你在喝什么？白酒啊？
种子酒。
种子酒就是白酒呀。白酒。The man is drinking Chinese vodka. It's actually made of a grain called sorghum. It's Chinese sorghum liquor. 度数多少啊？这个酒
42度，42。
Oh, the alcohol content of this thing is 42%. Can you do it? 42% alcohol. 没事，没事。现在还有点这个光线的。
这样放了叶菜的，一季贴出来喂。这样还两公母咋穿，一句都没收了哈。其实你晓得吧？附近村那里隔壁的价钱是30块一整喂，还给你65一整喂，晓得吧
This is their kitchen.
晓得吧？虽然从你给65一整，说的是那个人家哈，但是还被采取地方说服了，讲反正也不大干哈，不一定讲热或者。反正是讲还得我找到方式了，这样我说他说
哟，兰兰，它这个秤挺有趣的。
对，
它这个秤也是台老秤了。
所以还让这个没。
They've grown some vegetables here. The canola. Still lovely. Last year in October, I followed some local folks to see how they planted the canola seeds. So you see, canola seeds are planted in October. And you get to see the canola flowers in the first place around late February or more possibly in March. And later, after the flowers are dead, you get the seeds of that plant, the canola seeds that can be extracted into oil for cooking. It's very common. The lady is offering my wife 2 bamboo shoots that she dug.
他自己挖的。
我们家里有。
有力给了我2个。
好。 It's getting darker. Look, there's a light. I actually haven't really walked around in this village when it's dark. Probably not a good idea for safety. Now we're going back home. And it takes us maybe around, this is a different path though. Maybe it would take us about 10 minutes to walk back home from here. And this is a road actually. This road was paved just a few years ago for visitors. It didn't exist like 10 years ago. No. Not in this part. I'm not saying that they didn't have paved roads for cars 10 years ago, but not just here. Just not here. We didn't go too deep into the village. And here you can see some lights. 1, 2, 3, 4. Barry? Is that enough light? For night, yes, I think so. And for this area, yes. Not too bad. Yeah. All right, that building, let me tell you, didn't exist 2 years ago, that building. The building was built just quite recently. And the building was originally intended for a place to accommodate tourists and visitors to this village. Something public. Publicly owned, but of course operated like a private company. This is what this building was intended for originally. But later somehow it became just utterly private. And now this is the building that is owned by one, what they call a boss from northern Anhui province. And he now privately owns this building. It's his estate. That means when visitors and tourists come here to visit, in this village in particular, there's no place.
这里很多漂亮的苔藓
啊，
这里有很多苔藓。
嗯，
挖了挖，又挖了挖，我们就是小宝宝会挖。
苔藓，对啊，肯定有很多苔藓嘛。这个农村嘛，附近嘛，岩石上、山体上都是苔藓了。It was a very interesting, informative tour. Thank you also to your wife and daughter. Joanne 说：“谢谢你们的陪伴。” Thank you, Joanne. Okay, yes. Actually, Joanne, you reminded me of time. And actually, I think we have come to the end of today's tour. We are just walking back home. And my son is at home playing with his chess. He can play different kinds of chess. He is very into chess now. Do you have a torch with you? It's getting dark. We can still see. We don't have a torch, but my phone can be used as a torch. And we can get home just in a few minutes. It should be no problem for us. Let me try to show you this village at a different angle from here. There's the entire village right over there. When I say entire, maybe not 100%, probably 70, 80%, but I can still say that is a quite complete image of this village. I'm moving to a middle point to take the village as much as possible in. Without trees. I think it's right here. This is it, the village. 1 is the name. 1 means 10,000. 2 means 2. 2 to 10,000. 2 out of 10,000. This is a very catchy name. As to why, this is because here 1 is the similar pronunciation to the last name of the villagers here. That is Wang. That's actually why. And R is 2 because they told me that in olden days, there were 2 different clans who settled here. And one surnamed Wang, the other one surnamed Wang, very close, but still different in intonation. So later, the 2 clans, they come to terms with each other by calling this village 1 so that both clans could accept to settle in one land. All right? So this is the result of their compromise. 1 1 suggests the last name of both Wang and Wang of 2 clans. And R is 2. 2 settle peacefully here. Okay? And with that, I think we are done for today's tour. For you, it's have a good day probably if you are in the West. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. My pleasure, River. See you next time. Thank you, Cobra, Richard, Sibilia. Hi, Chris.